Welcome to Demasked. My name is Fresman, and today I'm joined by Riley from Smudgebap. Am I saying that right? Smudgebap?
You are. I've never heard someone say Riley from Smudgebap before. Uh,
Host of Smudgebap? Or also
I
known
mean,
as?
Smudgebap is my username. Uh, it's just sort of, I guess it's an alias. I never really thought about it. It's not like the name of the show, but I guess in a way it is.
I just I'm so used to referring to people by their pseudonyms that it like
Uh, I mean, if it makes you feel better, you could just call me Smudgebap. I don't really mind.
now I'm interested in the name. Like where did that come from? What's the
Uh,
origin of that?
uh, I don't remember, frankly. I think, I came up with it because I had two different usernames from, because I was a very active PS3 player, like in the early 2010s, and I also had a 3DS, and so on those two, I had two different usernames. I don't know where they came from, I don't know how I came up with them, but, around the time I got a Nintendo Switch, I merged them into one username. So
Hmm.
the smudge and bap parts just sort of like fused. Uh, and then I started using it on social media and everything. It just sort of stuck.
Gotcha.
Uh, I don't know if it really gets across the name or the tone of my channel as a name, but I think people get that it's just sort of a name that I use, I suppose.
That's fair. Now you said a good portion of the screen name originates from the PS3 days.
Yeah. Uh, the PS3 is it was the first game console that I was exposed to, and
Hmm.
it's the one that I played the most, uh, specifically because of Little Big Planet, but also there were a few other games, like I had Mod Nation Racers as well. It wasn't my PS3, it was my family's, but uh, they would play like whatever the hell, and I would play Little Big Planet. And for ages, that was the game that got me into game design, and like it sort of like it was the game that just introduced me to games in general, really. Uh, which is really weird because it's about games in a way, or it's like a response to existing game design. Uh,
Hmm.
but it really informed my understanding of like the medium, and it influenced my decision to get into games as something to study.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that's essentially my backstory. Like, it all begins with the PS3, really.
Now so I man I okay. The real question is, was it the huge PS3, like the giant, like
Oh,
chrome glass one?
uh, that's a good question. I think it started as the huge, like, weird chrome Spider-Man logo PS3. Uh, and then like once the new model came out, I think we upgraded to that one, or like I don't know, like maybe something happened, but uh like we had a PS3 like maybe not early days, but like 2008 or 2009, and at first it was just like we played SingStar. Like that's the main thing that I associate the PS3 with early on is SingStar, like this karaoke game. Uh and then like at a certain point, I don't remember when it would have been, we got Little Big Planet, and then I guess we also upgraded to the slim model. uh I currently own a super slim model, which is
Oh.
like they decided to shrink it down even more, and uh I'm kind of upset that I don't have the big, like, the fat model because it has PS2 compatibility. Uh, like, that's something that I'm sorely missing is a device that can play PS2 games that isn't an emulator.
I shoot. Now I have to buy a PS3. I'm sorry. I'm thinking back to like, man, I used to play Motor Storm and Metal Gear Solid
Wow.
4.
Oh, I played Metal Gear Solid 4 for the first time recently. Uh,
What'd you think?
it's a pretty good one. In terms of it being like as a PS3 game, it's very impressive looking, which I shouldn't be surprised by because like I've kind of found that a lot of like game graphics artistically plateaued with the PS3. And,
Mm.
like there's been incremental upgrades since then, but you can look at a game like Metal Gear Solid 4 and think like this is something that could come out today and people wouldn't really criticize it that much in terms of how it looks. Like it is a good looking game. Because they got the like art of it down, the visuals are really on point.
Mm.
Uh like if it was made today, they'd probably use the Unreal Engine. I mean Metal Gear Solid Delta just came out, and that's like it uses the Unreal Engine and it's like really shiny, and it has a lot of detail. Uh, but to me, like, I think there's something more like tactile about the way that the PS3 looks. And, like to some extent, like early PS4 games as well, or it's like just I mean this is like my own personal belief, but like upscaling games, like especially games that weren't designed for a high resolution, is like a really weird thing to do. Uh, so it's just playing like a 720p game that was designed for 720p that looks as good as Metal Gear Solid 4 is like wow, like it can still impress me like nearly 20 years later.
Yeah. Oh no, it hasn't been that long, has it? Hold on. Oh wait,
Not
no.
not just yet, but I mean, like 15, something like that. It is really weird to think about in hindsight.
It's been longer. It's been 17 years.
It's yeah. I
Oh.
don't think about that fact very much, but yep.
So I've I've brought this fact up on the show, but
Mm.
have you ever played the Half-Life series?
Uh, I I tried the first game when I got my computer, and it made me motion sick, and I didn't
Mm.
return to it because it made me motion sick.
So the reason I bring it up is I'm a huge fan of the series to the point where I have a Lambda logo tattoo
Hmm.
on my arm,
Right.
and it's in a spot that is very visible no matter what shirt I'm wearing. And
Mm.
I I had somebody recently hurt my feelings
Oh?
because the first game came out in 1998,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
they're like, hey, isn't that like that really really old game? I'm like, it wasn't that long
oh.
ago. They're like, it was 98, dude. I'm like, ah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh.
like, video game oldness is such a relative thing. Uh, because, like, I mean, I'll look at a game from, like, the PS2 era and I'll be like, this is a modern piece of art. Like, this hasn't aged at all. Uh, and, like, even, like, Half-Life, like, stuff from the 90s is, like, sure, like, they had less powerful computers at the time, but people were really starting to figure out, like, how video games maybe not should look, but like they were figuring out like the standards of the way that games look now. So you can
Mhm.
return to a lot of stuff from then. Like you can play Half-Life and it'll still feel like a conventional video game. Like it won't feel like archaic or ancient. It'll just feel like a game that came out a little bit older than or a little bit longer ago than like the newest stuff on the market. Like it's not really. I don't really think about games in terms of oldness.
I it's it's something I worry about not only in regards to games but just life in general.
Oh,
Like I had a thought there for a second. I just looked it up, and apparently the consensus is a game that is 15 to 25 years old is considered retro.
okay. So retro is such a relative thing. And it's also kind of like a lot of like the way that I feel about the retro mindset is that like something from 10 years ago can be retro. Like it is down more so to the style of the time than the actual hardware that was used to build it. So like I'm like with other things that you can refer to as retro, like like you don't really say retro movies, but like vintage movies or they're just like like of a certain time period. Like you can
Yeah.
define the visual style of something by like a certain decade or a certain chunk of years. And people do that with video games as well, but it's a lot more tied to the capabilities. So people look at a game like Half-Life and they think like they couldn't do any better than this. Like this was the precipice, this was the peak of what they could do on computers in 1998. And it's like not necessarily true because there wasn't like a linear progression of video game graphics. It was just sort of like people deciding to make a first-person shooter that looks like that. Um, I mean, I don't know if this is getting across, but like, the reason, like, the thing that made me realize this was that a lot of Nintendo Switch games have a certain look to them, even though they're new.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can look at them and think, like, this is of a specific era, this is of a specific piece of hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so now, like, you can look at, like, I mean, the Switch 2 just came out, so you can look at early Switch games and be like, oh, this is, like, it's not old, but it's of its time, and it's like, stylistically, like, they were going for a certain thing with early Switch games that they're not really going for now, even though the hardware is comparable. Um, it is just
Yep.
kind of down to, sorry, I'm
Oh, you're good. You're good.
it's just kind of down to like whatever the developer thinks suits the market at that current point in time.
I mean, then there's always the timeless, never aging classic of Wii Sports.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I don't know, Wii Sports. If you like put that in a little bit higher of a resolution, if maybe the textures were like a little bit higher, if the models were a little bit
Nah.
higher, like I don't know, like aesthetically, Nintendo could put out a game that looks like Wii Sports now, and people wouldn't even like look twice at it. They would just be like, "Yeah, this is a new Nintendo game."
If they can get me like a somehow worse looking version, like I need like a 680 by 680 window.
Hmm. I mean, I think the Wii is like lower res than that anyway. I think it's like 480 by like 360 or something. Uh, but I don't know. Like, it is really strange. When you compare like the PS3 and the Wii, a lot of games were going for different visual styles on the Wii because it was less capable. But then some Wii games would also try to go for the same thing that PS3 games were doing, even though the PS3 had a higher resolution. So you just look at some Wii games and it's like, this is like crusty and like it's low res, but aesthetically it's in line with what PS3 games were doing. Like there was like a, I think, Dead Rising game on the Wii that was trying to look like the PS3 game, but it just wasn't because it was the Wii, like it was essentially a generation behind. But the like the menu and the UI and everything, or like there's a lot of instances of this where it's just like the aesthetics of the visual design and the visual language are in line with higher like fidelity hardware. And that's still a thing that happens now when you compare like the Switch with
Mm.
like a high-end gaming PC. Like game design is the same on both. Like games will be ported to the Switch, but you'll have a different experience from platform to platform.
Well, it sort of reminds me of how, like when new console generations comes out, there's that sort of that transitionary period of games coming out on both current and last gen consoles.
Hmm.
But for the previous hardware, certain things either have to be like edited out or changed drastically. And
Yeah.
well, like for like I'd say the transition from like PS3 to PS4 wasn't that bad. Like
Hmm.
at least to my memory, like I think there was like one of the Call of Duty games. It's like, oh, some of the like the cars changed, so they're like a little less detailed, but that we just use a different model that has a lower polygon count.
Right.
But the most egregious example I can think of was it was a game that came out around the launch of the Xbox 360, but still had a version for the PlayStation 2, and
Oh.
it was Mercenaries 2: World in Flames.
Hmm.
Because the 360 version had that sort of weird, shiny, shimmery 360 look to it, where
Yeah.
like everybody, including the environment, is like looks like they're greased.
Hmm.
And then you go back to the PS2 era, and it's like, oh, this runs slower. It has that like that fog to save on on LOD in the
Yeah.
distance.
That kind of reminds me of how like a lot of licensed games would come out around that time, like in the gap between like 2006 to 2009. There would be a lot of licensed games that, because the PS2 was still a big thing, they would just also release on the PS2, but like they would also release on the PSP and the DS and maybe even the Game Boy Advance. So you have something like the Ratatouille tie-in game, which is on the Xbox 360, the PS3, the PS2, the Xbox, like the original Xbox, the
Hmm.
GameCube, the Wii, the Game Boy Advance, the Nintendo DS, the maybe the PSP, I don't know if it had a PSP version, and PC. And that's like 10 different platforms, but it's all meant to be the same individual game.
Hmm.
They would just do that a lot, and it's not as much of a thing anymore, obviously, but it is an immaculate example of how like different hardware can impact the same like vision for a game, I guess. Like they're
Hmm.
all trying to do the same thing, but to varying degrees of like matching what they were actually trying to accomplish.
Do you think any games coming out nowadays, not re-releases, but like new ones,
Mm,
do you think it's even possible to take I I wouldn't even say the graphics fidelity because you can always turn graphics down,
mm,
but take game design like like there's certain games I've been hearing about recently that unfortunately I haven't had the chance to play, like Expedition 33.
oh yeah.
Like could you take something like that and condense it onto a PlayStation 2?
Uh, I mean, I haven't played Expedition 33, so I don't know like how that game is structured or anything, but I guess one example, like I'm more of a like Nintendo freak, so I have a Switch
Okay.
2 and everything. Like I got a Switch 2 recently. Uh, the games coming out on the Switch 2, like even like the technically like lower intensity ones, like the like I don't know, like Silk Song came out the other
Mm.
day, uh, and that's a 2D game. It runs on the Switch 1, but it has an enhanced version for the Switch 2. Uh, that could run on a PS2 hypothetically if it was optimized for it. I mean, like it comes into question with a lot of like fan-made ports as well. Like you see a lot of like there's like ports of I think Celeste and like Sonic Mania for the 3DS. Like it's possible to condense these games down into like more optimized versions that run on older hardware.
Mm.
And I think there are still games that come out now that you could hypothetically do that with. Like, I think something like Metroid Prime 4 or whatever could run on, like, the Wii if you just crunched the graphics a little bit, if you just maybe, like, removed some elements, like, the overall aesthetics could still be achieved on that hardware. It's just about, like, what the actual capabilities of the hardware are. Um, you would not be able to replicate it as easily on the DS because the DS has two screens, so it's like it's a completely different like thing. Like you have to work around that. You have to use the touch screen to some extent. Um, and like you I don't know, like you'd have an impossible time trying to do it on like the Super Nintendo or like an old DOS PC or something.
That'd be a mission to pursue. Can you play Metroid on DOS?
I mean, I'm sure someone's tried it. I mean, it's definitely a thing with Doom ports. If you look at different ports of Doom, like
Yep.
you have like the original computer version, you have all the console ports that released around the same time. Uh, Varying degrees of accuracy, but they all looked like Doom enough to the point where they could say, this is Doom for this platform. This is Doom specifically redesigned for this hardware. And then it obviously became a meme, and now everyone's running Doom on everything conceivable.
I say I don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of the pregnancy tests version of Doom.
I was literally thinking of that one. Uh, that is I mean, you know, like if it can run Doom, like, or I mean, if it's a computer, it can run Doom. Ideally, essentially.
At this point, it's like, does it have a screen? Then it can probably do it.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, like what, like there's smart fridges that can do it. Like I don't know.
I've seen people do it on like the screens inside of the Tesla, and my wonder
Uh,
is, can you still drive your car while it's going?
I think. I mean, if you're able to navigate, I don't I don't know how that works.
What if I can control the game with the steering wheel?
I'm sure someone has made a mod for Doom that lets you use a steering wheel. I'm sure that on like the PS2 version or something, you could like plug in a third-party steering wheel and just be able to like turn and strafe and everything. That's probably been done. I wouldn't be surprised.
I I know now what I must do.
Uh,
so
mm,
so I don't have a steering wheel, unfortunately, but
mm.
I do have a Tony Hawk's Ride skateboard controller.
Yeah, it could be done. You probably play Doom on that. I'm sure someone has found a way to make that work.
I mean, there's a way to like rebind inputs specifically to like any gamepad that you plug into your PC. So I don't see why not. I wonder
Yeah,
how far I can take this.
I mean, is the Tony Hawk's Ride skateboard controller compatible with computers? Because if so, you're already like halfway there.
So the version I have, if I had a PS3 version, it would have been a little bit easier.
Mm,
Um, but I have the Xbox 360 version,
right.
and I'm wondering because unfortunately I don't know what the control layout is because I bought this at a flea market. um,
Do you have the game? Do you have Tony Hawk's Ride for the Xbox 360?
no, no,
I see.
I
Uh,
I'm a collector of sorts.
oh, do you just control different or collect different controllers?
I like not only older technology but like strange technology, and I have a habit
Mm,
of taking them home and like cleaning them and fixing them.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of friends like that. Like, one of my friends has multiple iPods and uses them on a daily basis, like legitimately. Uh,
Why multiple?
I don't know, they like them. I mean, there's different models of iPod. They're kind of a nerd about it. Because they have like, I don't know what generation it would be, but they have like the standard sort of like scroll wheel iPod, but they also have the iPod Nano, which is
Oh,
literally just a screen with a button at the bottom. It's like a shrunken down iPhone, and there aren't any speakers, you just have to plug in your headphones. Like, there's just all kinds of different, like, ways that they adapted the iPod idea. Uh, I don't know, like, collecting old hardware is just, like, a thing that a lot of my friends do, that a lot of people that I know do. Uh, I don't own enough, like, old garbage that I do want to get a Wonder Swan at some point. That would be pretty cool to own.
have you found any listings?
Oh yeah, totally. I like it's not easy or it's not hard to find, but I just haven't been able to afford like importing it and everything. Like, and
Mm.
also, I mean, like a lot of the listings are junk listings, so it's hard to find one that's affordable that isn't a junk listing. Uh,
Oh, is it just like four parts?
Yeah, essentially. Like, a lot of them, it's like, you can get a Wonder Swan for $5, but then you actually look at the listing and it's like, not working, tested, junk only. It's like, okay. But, even just like having it as a prop or something would be cool.
I uh, I recently resurrected my PSP,
Ooh, yeah.
and I learned that it natively runs PS1 games,
It does. It very much does.
and I immediately was just like, "All right, time to find every childhood game I can and stuff it into this thing."
Uh, so the PSP was, like I mentioned that the PS3 was the first console that I had, or the first console that I played. The
Mm.
PSP was the first handheld that I had. So I have a lot of like very specific memories of the PSP, and
Huh.
the very same one that I got 15 years ago, if not longer, like 16 years ago almost, uh,
Mm.
still works. I'm still using it, like on a frequent basis. Like I still play homebrew stuff on it or whatever. Like I get stuff on there. I play it like I'll get like fan patches of PSP games. I'll get a bunch of PS1 games that weren't on the PlayStation Store. Uh,
Mm.
Recently I played there's like an Evangelion rhythm game that came out for the PSP, and it's like the most recent game that was developed based on Evangelion. And it's just like it's a cute PSP game that I wouldn't be able to play if I hadn't just homebrewed my PSP and like gotten it. Uh,
That term just flashbanged me. Did you see Evangelion rhythm game?
yeah, it's
Doing what?
it's based on the events of the first two Rebuild movies. Uh, it
Yeah.
was like a tie-in around the time that it came out. And so it just like follows the events of those movies, and you play different, like there's a bunch of different mini game types. uh One of them is like kind of like almost like parappa-ish from what I remember, but then another one is like you're following like pulse waves on the screen, and like trying to align with the movement, and then like another one is like you're running across the city in the Evangelion, and uh like timing your jumps to the music and everything. It's like somewhere between like Guitaru Man and Rhythm Heaven.
Just gonna. I think you might have given me what the background might be for this episode. You know Shinji in the chair.
Yeah.
I just imagine like Parappa like dancing around while Shinji's in
Oh
the
my
chair.
god.
Just gonna I need a pen that works. No, oh no. Let me. There we are. I have a I have a notepad here on my desk. Why? Why won't this pen work?
Parappa,
Please
you need to get in the robot. Parappa, I need to get in the robot.
get in the robot. Get in the robot. Great.
Uh, uh, so it's funny you bring up Parappa because that is like maybe one of my favorite. Maybe not the series specifically, but the developer that made it uh, is like one of my favorite game developers because they practically invented rhythm games. I have a whole video about it. I like one of my first videos was about the studio that made the Parappa games and where they originated, and it led me down a whole thing of like just learning about Japanese music and learning about the lineage from like early like electronic pop to this band that the developer of Parappa the Rapper was in, to
Huh.
him like going off to make Macintosh games. And once he'd done that, like he established this studio named Nana Onsha, and then because he was with Sony as like a record label, Sony was
Mhm.
like, hey, make this game for us, or like make a game for us. We're making the PlayStation. Do you want to make a game for it? And he was like, yeah, okay. And then made Parappa the Rapper, and that was just the first rhythm game, essentially. And there's a lot of like discourse, or not discourse, but like I've met people who don't consider Parappa to be like a true rhythm game because what came after it sort of solidified the genre more, where
Mhm.
Parappa is a lot more improvisational. uh you have something like DDR where it's like very direct and very like you have to press the arrows at the specific right time to get the maximum score and whatever. Uh,
Mhm.
like there is a perfect thing that you can do where Parappa like looks like that on the surface, but uh really you can just press any button, and as long as it's like in rhythm, as long as it sounds good, you get more points. Uh,
Mhm.
it's like a musician's rhythm game versus a game designer's rhythm game, I guess.
Gotcha. I So I do have a question regarding one of your most recent videos.
Mhm.
Why you wouldn't want to live in a game world?
Yeah.
So excluding, let's just say excluding Mario, if you had to pick, if you had to pick a virtual world for you to get isekai'd into,
Oh god.
what would it be?
Uh, I mean, that's a good question because, like, I mean that whole video was kind of against the concept of like getting so sucked into a game world that you spend too much time in it or whatever,
Mm.
that you like become part of it, that you observe its details a little too much and whatever. Um,
But what if you're at the final stage, like I'm in Minecraft?
yeah, Jack Black is there. Um,
Yep.
no, that I mean, honestly, there are games with like settings that I would love to live in, or like that just are so like idyllic and so pretty that it would be really nice to be there. One thing that comes to mind is the Professor Layton games, which have this really like sort of like they're meant to be set in the UK, but they have this very rustic, like sort of French Italian look to them. Like they're not really
Okay.
based on the UK. They're more based on just Europe in general, like the like Central Europe. Like uh,
Mm.
they it's almost like I don't know, like their idea of the UK was based on like storybooks or like I can't imagine they actually did location scouting. They just sort of like had a vague idea of what the UK is like.
Somebody told them about it, and then they
Yeah.
just
Uh, so, I mean, when I talked about it in one of my videos, I called it the anime UK, where it's like a Japanese artist's concept of what the UK kind of looks like. And because it's sort of it's close enough to home where it's like familiar and I can sort of like relate to it almost. Uh, but it is still distant enough and it's like pretty enough and like the architecture is just like kind of weird looking that it becomes like this place that like I would like to live there. That would be really cool to live in. Uh, it's very, I don't know, it's like reminiscent of Studio Ghibli backgrounds or something. Like there's a lot of care put into how it looks. And because it's like this first person adventure game, like it's all you're looking at for the most part. So that sort of environment is the most appealing to me. It is kind of like what got me into like game art, I suppose. Along with like just anime background design in general. I guess another one would be like one of the cities in Final Fantasy IX is really architecturally strong. It's like I haven't played Final Fantasy IX in a while, but it's like I think a floating city or like it's really high up in a mountain or something, and there's just all this like I don't want to say clockwork. It's not really like that, but it's like this sort of very mechanical, very it's somewhere between medieval and I forget what the word is, like when it's like mechanical and sort of like not Victorian, but
steampunk.
yeah, it kind of. I don't know if steampunk is the thing, but it's like that sort of technology, but blended with these like almost medieval architectural stylings that just sort of creates like this very it's very cozy, but it's also very lived in. Like it feels very just livable, and that's something that I really enjoy about the Final Fantasy games. But like as much as I love 7, that is a game explicitly about a world that you would not want to be living in. It mirrors the real world too much. I don't want to live in Midgar. But some of those games just have really good architecture and environments. I guess another one would be Final Fantasy X too, like, or not 10 too, I mean like 10 as well. With like early on, there's this village that you go to that's really just very homely and very like representative of the sort of style that it's going for, and I think it's really cool.
Isn't Final Fantasy X the one with Waka?
Yeah,
Uh,
Tidus and Waka.
I so I have a pick for a video game world that I wouldn't mind getting pulled into, and let me disclaimer for not only you but the folks at home. I get that this world I'm about to pick sucks.
Oh.
I I get that it's a bad time, but it has rules that are easy to understand, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'd like to live in City 17 from Half-Life 2.
I see. You know, I mean, so I mean, this is like limited knowledge of Half-Life 2, but the way that that engine looks, the source engine, and the way that that game as well as like Gmod and other games in that engine, the way that it renders environments and like the sort of like brutalist look to a sort of contemporary city is really cool. I think that that's really neat. I think that even though it was designed like pretty much specially for Half-Life 2, it adds this sort of like uncanny, like, I don't want to say tactility again. I already said that earlier, but pretty much tactility. Um, that a lot of other engines don't have. So like, because it's also used for games like the Stanley Parable.
Hmm.
Just stuff that's like in this sort of like weird, like it's almost realistic, but it obviously isn't. Like you know that it's not, but and I don't know. Like there is a certain way that those environments look, that City 17 looks, that the Portal games look, where it's this sort of like nightmarish place to be in, but because they designed the engine around it and they were able to make all these details, uh, it feels lived in, and it kind of feels like comparable to real life. Like the Stanley Parable has this whole office that looks like an office that you would go to if you had a job. Uh, like it just I don't know. Like I've gone to a lot of places that where I'm just like this is kind of reminiscent of that of like the way that the Source engine looks. Uh, I guess it influenced a lot of the like liminal space thing as well.
Well, not only that, so there's I don't understand the videos that I see out there where it's like, why is the Source engine so creepy or something like that. I don't like because personally I don't find it creepy because
I see.
and like even on like some of the maps that they discuss, it's like, oh, GM construct from Gary's mod is so terrifying. I'm like, that's a place of comfort. Like
Oh.
that's one of my
Mm.
homes essentially. And like there's something to be said about how the Source engine does 3D space, not only
Mm.
in its presentation but in actually the sound design, because like sound changes drastically, and they even added with like newer updates to like even the original Source engine, your character's eyes will adjust to the light brightness,
Oh yeah.
and
Uh,
that's fantastic to me.
I think that I mean the Source engine is kind of creepy, but in a way that's like it's very subtle. It's not like overly trying to be this like horror environment. Like GM Construct isn't explicitly a scary place to be, but it like for people who I guess have grown up in certain like uh I forgot what the right word would be, like urban environments, like very like like these like city structures or like suburban structures or whatever,
Mm.
like small towns that have a bunch of buildings but they're blended in with a bunch of fields, like a bunch of greenery. uh it like reflects people's own sort of uncomfortableness, or discomfort even with that sort of environment. uh So like people look at something that was made in the Source engine that's meant to look like a modern, like everyday place, and they're just like, this feels creepy to me because it's like a place from real life, but it's reflected in this sort of uncanny way. Um, but like I can totally get why it would be comfortable at the same time. I just I mean I don't really agree that it's scary at all either. Like I don't think that that's the case. Um, but it is a symptom of the style that Half-Life 2 is trying to go for. That it's like this urban modern city that's overrun by like an alien invasion or whatever. Um, like it's this sort of oppressive feeling where it's like even the plainest of places can just feel really claustrophobic for a lot of people. Um, like I guess it varies, but it's the same reason why it works so well with Portal and with the Stanley Parable.
Well, then I think I just thought of a phrase that might summarize at least the feeling of Half-Life 2's environments, especially the more urban environments.
Mm.
And it's like a lot of complaints I hear about certain game worlds, like, oh, this place is empty.
Oh.
But but the thing is, in like the specific example being Half-Life 2, but even in the more light-hearted Source Engine games like Counter-Strike, where you're just, putting
Yeah.
around some substate, like somewhere in the Middle East in a alleyway, but then there's a like an American office.
Oh god.
It but there's this feeling of not, hey, this place is empty. It's this weird feeling of it's almost fight or flight, which is like people used to be here.
Yeah. I mean, in like a shooter game, I can get that that feeling would be present, where it's like these are places that are meant to be lived in, but instead everybody's just fighting each other. Um, the thing with that, uh, that I've sort of come to understand is that a lot of game environments feel empty because they're meant to be like play arenas for players. They're
Mm-hmm.
not meant to be like lived in spaces. They're meant to be like just playgrounds essentially. Um, and so with I mean, for a much more recent example, Mario Kart World got a lot of shit for feeling empty. Like, one of the biggest complaints was that there's nothing to do in the open world, it's really empty. But, uh, there's stuff in it that warrants the size of the open world, at least. There's a bunch of different missions you can do, and obviously, it's entirely designed around the courses. So you race on these these course tracks, um, but when you stop and when you look around in them on your own, they're gonna feel empty because nothing's going on. Nothing's meant to be going on. Like, what happens is the players and their presence fills the room, but without them, it just feels devoid of personality. And I
Yeah.
think that's why people found it really empty, because it's not meant to be like this grounded, realistic place. It's meant to be like a park, essentially. Like it's not supposed to be like I don't know. It is a really weird thing because it's the first time that they've made an open world Mario Kart like that, and they're using their course design abilities, but for an entire map in a way that's
Mm.
different from like Breath of the Wild or something. Um, it is just a really weird example of like quote unquote empty design.
Hmm. Now, would you rather live in a be isekai'd into a digital space that's designed around you, or would you want one like the Source Engine, where it's like there used to be regular people sometime around here?
Uh, when you say designed around me, does that mean that like would there be people living there? Would other people be there, or like what?
So like you mentioned with Super Mario World's world sort of being designed around the player, big open
Mm.
spaces and emptiness. Would you rather that, where it's just empty spaces designed specifically for you to go do something in them, or would you rather?
Well, I mean, I'd rather live in a place that's like populated by other people. Uh, I mean, a lot of the ways that fictional game environments are personalized and sort of ooh, motorbike outside. Uh, a lot of the ways that game environments are personalized and they feel lived in is because there's literally other characters there, and even if the characters aren't around, even if it's like a Half-Life 2 situation, there are things in the game environment that indicate that there are people living there, or there were at some point. And that gives it a lot more weight than if it was just like an empty city with a bunch of generic architecture and a bunch of generic signs and everything. And that's why I think people like games like Half-Life 2, or they find a lot of coziness in certain game environments that are designed around being lived in. Uh, one of my favorite examples is, I mean, it's one of the games that I talk about in my most recent video, but Boku no Natsu Yasumi is designed around just being a holiday game where like you're a child in a world populated by other people, and it's not your world. You're just observing it as someone with like these young eyes who doesn't understand how the world works necessarily. But it's designed for adults, so there's a lot of themes that come up of like mortality or of like interpersonal relationship stuff, like divorce and everything, that a child wouldn't know anything about that stuff, but as an adult, when you're playing and you have this sort of dramatic irony of playing as a child observing these events, it's like it becomes this really melancholic kind of thing. And I find that really interesting because it sort of goes against the fantasy that a lot of people have of living in a game environment that's designed around them, or living in a game environment that's like post-apocalyptic and like there were people there but there aren't anymore and you're the only one left, or something. It's very like anti-standard, I guess, like non-standard.
I'm willing to bet there's going to be somebody out there that listens to this video and it's like, yeah, I could make it in Resident Evil.
Resident Evil?
Yeah.
But like make it in Resident Evil, like
live in that world with zero
like,
issue.
Make it as in, right. I mean, you could survive. You could try to. I mean, the first game is set in a house. Hi. It was a really badly timed router replacement that I wasn't aware of. My internet's fine now. It's back on. There shouldn't be any problems now, but very awkward thing to happen in the middle of a conversation. Do you have to do another sync check?
Oh no, I can put it back together once we're
right. Okay.
once we're
okay.
going.
So yeah. I don't know how much you heard of when I was rambling. I mentioned that Metal Gear Solid 4 is also like this post-apocalyptic, but like it's sort of just like hellish place to be in at any given moment, because it's just everywhere. There's constant war going on, and yet they managed to make some areas in that game livable to an extent. Like I forget which country it is, but there's a city that they go to like midway through. I really liked that area. That was like a very cool, like out of place thing that wasn't like they don't really do that in Metal Gear Solid, so it was cool to be in like an urban environment. Just a lot of games there's like solace between some really just horrible, like unlivable conditions.
Well, I mean, even like shit. I was thinking like Devil May Cry and
Oh.
Hi, Kat. Welcome to the show.
Does he want to say something?
All right, now's your time, Mooney. Go for it.
It's a lot of purring.
Nothing, huh? All I'm hearing is fence sitting, Mooney. All right, buddy. I need you to. Why are you so heavy? There you go. I'm sorry, bud. Everybody at home, say hi to Mooney. But I'll put a picture of him up during the editing process.
Oh yeah. Um, uh, so yeah, I mean, I forgot where we even were. We were talking about that. We were talking about game environments.
I know we were talking about worlds we'd like to live in if we were to be
Yeah.
fully pulled into.
Mm. I mean, the whole thing with like I don't know, like the concept of like being pulled into a world is like that's a scarier thing than I think a lot of people imagine it being. Like it's obviously like a fantasy thing, but like uh I mean I mentioned Final Fantasy X earlier. I really like how that game uh when the main character is like essentially isekai'd into like 1,000 years into the future. Um, it's a really like sort of tonally off thing where it's like just the scary prospect of being a stranger in a place that like is completely unfamiliar to you. And like everyone like you mentioned certain things and it's like nobody knows what you're talking about. That's probably closer to like how an isekai would actually be than probably a lot of isekai media. Uh, but you know, in the ideal scenario, uh, I don't know. There's some places that would be pretty cool to live.
Let's say if we had to limit to Nintendo properties, where would you go?
Oh, um, my instinctive answer is to say Splatoon because it's like close enough to like just a modern cityscape, a modern like environment.
Would you participate in the sport?
Probably not. I don't know if I'd be able to. I'm not a squid, but you know, the thought is nice. Maybe I could be like a spectator. I don't know. Um, but I mean, other than Splatoon, I guess there's like Xenoblade. That doesn't feel like a Nintendo property, but it is. Uh, I really love the towns in Xenoblade Chronicles. I think that they have a lot of really good environment stuff going on in those games.
I want you to know that to this day, I'm still haunted by that line from Shulk.
Well, I'm really feeling it.
Yep.
Yep, it's Rhine time. Uh,
well, the minute since Xenoblade, all I can hear in the back of my head is, I'm really feeling it.
yeah, bone upper. Yeah, it's when you play the game, or like I played the Switch version of Xenoblade Chronicles a few years ago, and uh, the English voice lines are fine, but I mean, when you hear "I'm really feeling it" for the millionth time, it's like, I don't know. Uh, I think when I played it, I switched to the Japanese voice acting, but I don't remember how much of the game was that over the English voice acting. I'm very weird about like like different games having different voice acting. I used to have the rule where it's like if it's a game that isn't set in Japan but is still developed by Japanese developers, then having the English audio is fine, but if it's set in Japan, then obviously having the Japanese audio makes more sense. But now I'm sort of inclined to prefer the Japanese voice acting in most cases because there's a lot more like intent behind that over the English dubbing sort of just being like overlaid on top of an existing thing. But that's like sort of getting into like a whole thing about like the voice acting industry and like the facilities that there are in place for different voice actors, and it's a really weird thing. But like I don't know, like you get celebrities voicing like original characters in the Kingdom Hearts games or something. Like certain voice actors that are like well known for being in other stuff. But then in English it's just some guy. They just got someone from like Disney Channel or something.
Or was it from what I've heard, Dio's voice actor from JoJo is everywhere.
Really? Wait, let me look that up. I don't know anything about
Like
JoJo.
because like I'll see clips and stuff like, oh, this show's pretty cool, and then somebody goes, yeah, that guy's Dio. Like you
Oh
can
my
hear
god.
it, like it's in his.
Oh. Oh man, I've heard him recently. He was in City the Animation.
Hmm.
Uh, I'm looking through this list. He was in Metaphor, he was in Raito Remastered. Uh, Demon Slayer. Oh my god. Gundam Seed. What? He was in Freerun. He was. This is like everything. Goddamn. Octopath Traveler 2, Hi-Fi Rush.
The real world embodiment of the Majima Everywhere system.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's also in Yakuza. Uh,
Is how much you want to bet?
he's in Evangelion.
Is
Yeah.
who?
Shigeru Aoba. Wait, I'll send an
Isn't
image.
isn't that the long haired guy?
Yeah. It's not letting me copy this image for some reason. Uh, yeah, he's the guy with long hair. It's like a middle parting. Uh,
Mm.
oh, that's really weird. He's in Dragon Quest: The Adventure of Dai. Uh, this is just one of those things where you just look at a bunch of like. There's so many voice actors, particularly in Japan. Like I mean, like as I mentioned, like there's a lot of infrastructure and like history attached to Japanese voice actors, where it's like they'll just show up in things. They'll just be in whatever they want to be in, or maybe not want to be in, but like they'll be in anything.
Mm.
So you just have people that are in like basically everything under the sun, or like they just show up in unexpected places. Like uh, I don't know if you would have seen Mobile Suit Gundam, but the voice actor for Char Aznable in that is because he's like a well-known voice actor, because it's a well-known character.
Mm.
He's just in a bunch of different things. He's in the PS1 game, like the Simple series game, The Sniper, as the main character for some reason, and like I mean, I mentioned Kingdom Hearts. He's in Kingdom Hearts. Uh, just a bunch of different stuff.
PS1. Just a moment. I'm looking at the. I'm trying. Do you have the actor's name?
I can look it up. I forget exactly. It is Shuichi Ikeda.
Hmm.
He is Char Aznable, but he is also uh well also wait, okay, his most recent role is Char Aznable, but in a different in a more recent Gundam thing. Uh he was Char Aznable in Gundam, he was Char Aznable in Gundam, he was Char Aznable in Gundam. He was in Persona 5 as Masayoshi Shido, the bald guy.
Hmm.
He's in Kingdom Hearts as Marluxia. He's in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Uh, like, there's so many different roles. Like, I don't know, like Final Fantasy 14?
Hmm.
I didn't even know about some of these. Uh, obviously, he's in a bunch of Super Robot Wars games. He's in Resident Evil Revelations. This is like the glue tying together like a bunch of different topics that we've been talking about. Uh, Valkyrie profile. I'm literally just looking through this list. Yeah, he's in the Sniper 2. He's in the Sniper 1. He's in One Piece. Oh, he voices Shanks in One Piece. I'm entertained by this whole thing. Um, it's just really strange. Like you get someone who is like that well known. Like his debut role was
Hmm.
as this Gundam character, and then because of that, he's just in a bunch of other things after that because people know him as the Gundam guy. Um, it's stuff like that that's sort of lost when it comes to translating like voiceover in like video games especially, but also in anime.
Hmm.
Where it's like you'll have this super well-known guy in Japan, and then when it's translated, it's just Bobby from the streets, from like the office, like the next
It's
town over.
Greg.
It's Greg, yeah. Like there are good voice actors, obviously. Like there's plenty of talented voice actors working in games, but a lot of, I guess, the context and significance is different.
Hmm.
So I don't know, like, uh, I think they announced a new Bubsy game recently. Uh, believe it or not, they announced Bubsy 4D, and Bubsy is being voiced by, I think, Sean Chiplock, who was in Breath of the Wild and stuff. So that's like an example of a notable video game voice actor who is just being in it, like he's playing Bubsy essentially as a shitpost. Um, and like you have stuff like that, but I don't know, like I just have to wonder like who voiced Bubsy in Japan, you know?
And then you have the American equivalent of someone being everywhere at once with the voice actor Gianni Matrigano. He is.
I
Have
recognize
you
the
played
name.
Ultra? Have you played Ultra Kill?
I have played a little bit of Ultra Kill,
Do you know
but
Gabriel?
no.
Hmm.
Wait, Gianni
Try-
Electric. He's in Ultra Kill, he's in Death Battle?
He's in a bunch. He. So
Sutra.
he's he. Well, the thing is, he's also this really good cross section of he's everywhere, but everything he's in, he's really good in.
Right. Oh, he's in Slayer's X. He's in Nightmare Cart.
Yep.
That's wild.
Like I said, he's fucking everywhere.
He's one of those people. Yeah, he's in Ultra Kill, he's in what even wait, he's in Warframe. Oh, he was in
Seriously?
Gunbuster. I mean, it says he voiced the Stalker in Warframe. I don't know. Uh, I guess he was
Really know
in
who
a
that is.
dub for. He's in a couple of Fist of the North Star things. This reminds me of how, like, in the Final Fantasy VII remake, they got like a bunch of YouTubers to voice random NPCs.
Huh.
I guess because they were just in the California area, they were just like, here you go, just like take the mic and just say a bunch of NPC lines. Uh, it's really, really odd. I don't know. Voice acting is such a strange thing. I know that,
I
oh.
yeah.
uh, I know that Shigesato Itoi was in My Neighbor Totoro, and that's like one of the things that people know him for, even though he wasn't really a voice actor, he was just in the movie because he was a celebrity.
Huh.
Like he made the Mother games, if you're not aware. Like he made Earthbound, and like he was a famous copywriter and stuff. Like he was known for his writing more so than anything else, but he was just inexplicably in that movie. So he's just cemented in this modern classic forever, uh, for no reason other than just he was around at the time.
I mean, you could look at Death Stranding as that as well.
With like Norman Reedus.
Well, so not only Norman Reedus, but almost every, how do I word it? Every prepper that you meet that isn't like a
Mm.
main story character is a famous personality. Like Jeff Keighley and
What?
Conan O'Brien are out there.
Huh?
Yeah.
I I haven't played Death Stranding yet. I really need to get on it.
Do it. It's a good time.
I know that there's a HoloLive VTuber in the most recent one in Death Stranding 2. I saw a promo for that the other day. It's very uncanny.
See, I haven't had the chance to play that second one yet. I'd really, really
I
like to,
I don't know the
but
PS5. I wouldn't know what it's like.
I'm 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 doing that thing that I probably shouldn't do because I really like the series. Where I'm like, I'm gonna wait until it comes to PC, which will be like 8 months from now.
Yeah. I mean, I literally don't have like a way to play it right now. Like my PC is not that powerful for a lot of games. It's like good for most stuff. Like I can play games on Steam, I can emulate stuff, but it's not a very powerful computer and it wouldn't be able to run something like Death Stranding. Uh, like I don't know, like I have the first game, but I don't think it's gonna operate on my computer. It might barely, but uh, I'm more of a console person, but I don't own a PS5. I don't have the facilities for that sort of thing, so I mean, it sort of impacts a lot of my tastes, where like I don't really know what's going on in video games at the moment aside from what's on the Nintendo Switch, which is probably not great.
I've fallen so far behind in like new releases, and not even like playing them, just knowing that they even came out. Because
Mm,
like I work full time outside of doing this as a hobby, and
yeah.
so all of my time is just out the window.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like honestly, since I started making videos, I've been just constantly busy with that on top of like being a student. Like I'm at university at the moment, so I have a lot of things going on all at once. Uh, Not only do I not have the money for new games, but I don't even know when they come out anymore. Like Metal Gear Solid Delta came out last week or something. And it's completely like I don't have any interest in it, but it just totally missed me by because not many people are talking about it. I don't think that there's that much interest in something like that among my circles. Um, it's a very bizarre thing where like I should be on the pulse of like what's coming out and what's new, but all I'm really paying attention to is like a specific set of games that my friends are excited for or something. Um, I am more excited for there's a game coming out called Unbeatable, which is a rhythm game, uh, and I'm more excited for that than like anything from a major studio that is like planned for release right now. Um, it's the same with there's another game called Demon School that's coming out in November.
Mm.
Uh, that like that's also like I know more about that. I've been following the development of that more than like anything that's like made by a AAA studio that's in the Unreal Engine that's going to be on the PS5. Like just I guess because I know that when it comes out, I'll actually be able to run it and like play it. Uh, but also it's just more interesting to me like culturally than a lot of I don't know like I watched something like the Game Awards and it's so mind-numbing that like I don't even know what's happening. I look at Jeff Keighley and Jeff Keighley looks back at me and I it's just nothing. There's just
and,
nothing.
and and you can somehow taste the Doritos and Mountain Dew in the air.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh God, there was a channel that he used to like cover for like he was like the games journalist guy for like I think it was Spike TV, and like knowing that it sort of makes like it puts everything into perspective because Spike TV is like where they had Game Awards. Like the Game Awards, the lineage of the Game Awards comes from Spike TV, and if you
Or
look.
wasn't it G4?
No, G4 was G4 was a different thing. It was very similar, but like I mean Jeff was probably on G4, I don't know, but Spike TV is where the whatever they're called, the VGAs or the Game Awards or whatever,
Mm.
that's where they originated, and that's how Jeff Keighley like became the Game Awards guy because he was part of that, and then it split off into its own thing. Um, and if you look back at the original Spike TV Video Game Awards, it is the worst thing that could have possibly come of that concept. It is the most like disgustingly like men, dude, boys, yeah, hot babes, hot babes, hot babes. And like the game of the year was
Yeah.
a sports game, like it was a football game or something. And it was up against like Metal Gear Solid 3 and the fucking Silent Hill 2 or whatever. Um,
For shots of Eva and the nurses.
yeah.
Yep.
It's just like I don't know, like their sports game of the year was Dead or Alive beach volleyball. Like it is a really specific thing. Like people look at that and they just think like all video games were like that at a certain point, but it was really just like that sort of thing was more common, but it was mainly just in external game coverage where it was a really big thing. Like otherwise I think games get a pretty bad reputation for being like mainly a dude thing, mainly like for boys, while they've actually just always been for everyone, and like they've always appealed to like just anybody, like any demographic, but they've been sort of misunderstood and squarely targeted towards men in most cases. And so you got stuff like the Spike Video Game Awards.
If I remember, Spike TV quite literally had a show called Mansers.
Mansers?
Yeah, it was questions posed by dudes and then
Wait,
answered in like the most like, have a girl in a bikini show up and answer it sort of thing.
is that the show where they were like, would you fart so hard that your balls explode?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my god. I mean, that's about right. That sounds about in line.
Look, some of us have to know.
Yeah, all two of us, yeah.
Because some of us need to know if we need to go to the hospital.
Yeah. And the, it wouldn't be me, but, if that ever happened, it wouldn't be me. But, just hypothetically.
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically I blew my balls apart accidentally.
Yeah, just conceptually, like, just like in a manner of speaking.
Will duct tape suffice?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the kind of market that like the Xbox was going for at the time. Like they're just like, yeah, the Xbox is gonna make your balls explode. Ooh, we have Halo. Halo is gonna make your balls explode.
Not again. Not since Reach. I can't.
I mean that's probably gonna be the premise of the next game. Master Chief's balls exploded, and they have to get a new Master Chief.
Or you play the multiplayer mode, he's just kind of walking funny the whole time.
Yeah. Oh. Master Chief needs to go to the bathroom. Lord. Yeah, it's like just that sort of thing. It's really weird to look at that like historically, like from a historical perspective in hindsight, because there's such a stigma around it being a boys' activity. It's just like, for the guys. And it sort of originated with stuff like the NES coming out. And just from there, like, because it was targeted towards boys primarily, a lot of coverage was just like Yeah, games are for boys, but if you're a girl, you might something sort of get out of this, get something sort of maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll enjoy it. Um, when like really like I don't know, games originally and even throughout the NES and the Super Nintendo like have
Mm.
always been designed for everyone in a way. It depends on the game for sure, but like you look at something like Zelda where it's like Link is explicitly meant to be androgynous, but
Mm.
they like because it's like, well, he's a boy, so it's a boys game, but that's like only really a perspective that Americans had, where like over in Japan, like they were advertising, I think, Link to the Past or Zelda 2 with a commercial where Link was literally played by a woman. Like the whole point was that Link is androgynous, that it's meant to just be a stand-in for the player.
Mm.
But people kind of missed that, and so you get a lot of stuff from the 2000s where it's like, no, Link is meant to be this heroic boy guy, masculine with muscles. Uh, and that's how we got Twilight Princess. Uh, it's a very silly thing, but I feel like it's kind of a greater issue, and a lot of people point to video games as being the root of like the sort of like the I guess the traits that are identified with video games. Um,
Mm.
Particularly like getting mad at them, getting angry at them, getting really upset when you die in a multiplayer match or something. Like that sort of behavior was like enforced by stuff like the Spike Video Game Awards, or like I don't know, like the way that they advertised stuff like the Xbox or like certain games just around that time. Where it's like they
Mm.
kind of missed the point that like you're meant to have fun with them. Like it became like you have to win, you have to be the best player ever, you have to do the thing, and it kind of gets in the way of like uh just practicing with a game and getting good at it. um and it's the sort of environment that I was like raised around, essentially. Like the way that I've understood games has gone from like thinking that I just need to be good at them by default in order to get something out of them, to realizing that like practicing is the whole point. Like getting better at them
Mm.
over time is the whole point. That's why you play games. That's why you like repeatedly like when you die you just start over and you like do it again and you get better at it. Um, a lot of it is just like pattern recognition and uh just I don't know, like it's never like a matter of skill, but people seem to think that it's a matter of like just inherently being better at something than someone else. uh
Mm.
and it's tied into a lot of like unhealthy masculine ideals. I'm completely rambling, but like it's just uh it's something that I've really come to realize recently.
Mm.
The more I play games, and the more games that I play that are like meant to be hardcore or meant to be like difficult, it's just like I play them and it's like, well, this isn't that bad. Because I'm willing to just like have the mindset of like, I'm playing this scientifically for research. I'm not playing it just to get better at it. Like I'm playing it for a video or something. Like it's really different, or it's really weird how the different uh ways that you can view games affect your experience overall. And that's something that I kind of want to bring into a lot of my videos, because it's something that I've learned over making them, that like you can't really be good at them by default. You have to sort of just accept that like you're not going to be the best ever straight away. You're not immediately going to understand the mechanics or the patterns or whatever, but you can learn them. You can like expect to just know them over time, like or learn them over time. Like if you have that sort of resilience, um,
Mm.
I don't know. It's like kind of self-actualizing, or like realizing that the games that are designed around skill and nothing else over like practice, it's like two completely different worlds of game design. Um,
Mhm.
it's just something that varies a lot.
And then there's something to be said about like the sort of the opposite side of the spectrum,
Mm,
where there are games out there that kind of rely on the lack of either competitiveness with other players or competitiveness with the environment around you.
mm.
And like for in my heart of hearts, the ultimate version of that is Gary's mod, because there's no story,
Yeah,
there's no objective. It's just do whatever that pops into your head.
yeah. I mean, it's sort of it's very closely associated with Little Big Planet, which like that's the game that got me into video games.
Mm.
Like that game is so much more focused around creativity and around just like making stuff over being good at it. Like the whole point is that like it's similar enough to Gary's mod. It's closer to something like I guess the closest comparison would be like Roblox or something. Like
Mm.
you would just play the game, you would get stuff to make levels with, and then you would make a level, you would post it, and then other people would play it, and you would also play other people's levels. And so it was just like a very pure, like raw form of expression that you could share with others. That it you would have like a limited amount of tools and stuff. Um,
Mm.
and it's a completely different way of approaching games and game design than like anything else that was on the market at the time. Um, Even compared to like the rise of indie games, which was happening at the same time, like you had a lot of games that were reinventing established ideas, or like they sold themselves around that even. Like you have Braid, which is like, what if Mario had time travel or something? Um, but it kind of like misses the point of like what made Mario like an engaging thing, or like what like what makes games engaging or whatever.
Mm.
It's just well, like because there's no stakes to what you do or what you did past tense that serves on online anymore in Little Big Planet. The stuff that gets made, that got made, is just way more personal and way more true to like whoever was making it, because there was no reason to like get more clout or whatever. It wasn't like a social platform necessarily. Some people treated
Mm.
it that way, and some people like it kind of predated content mills in some way. Like there were people that would just copy levels and then repost them constantly. It's very akin to how YouTube operates, but
Mm.
uh, obviously with YouTube, like there's the monetization angle and there's the numbers and everything, where
Mm.
uh, just to something like Little Big Planet, where you're making things purely for the love of making things. It's a whole different approach to designing games and to like thinking about game design that I feel like a lot of people probably didn't experience because it was exclusive to the PS3. Um, and growing up with that, growing up around that, sort of made it feel like I was an outsider to the rest of video game culture. Um, and I mean, that feeling kind of sticks with me now because, like, I see people talking about the latest competitive game or the latest, like, popular indie game, and I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm not in
Mm.
that world that other people are in. Um, and, like, even as I'm a student and I know a lot of other people that play video games and like them, and a lot of the time I just can't relate to what they play, but I can still kind of appreciate it. Uh,
Mm.
I've learned to just value a lot of different opinions from different people.
Mm. So I think so. We've just crossed the hour and a half mark, and I know we
Oh
took a
yeah.
little bit of a break there. How
Yeah.
are we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty okay. So I'm sorry about the internet router situation.
Oh, you're good. But I think because my time unfortunately is running a little bit short, I think we will
Hmm.
have to wrap this up.
Okay.
But I I I do want to ask you, where do you see your channel? Because I know you've covered, you know, more, what's the term I'm looking for? Open-ended topics about, living in game worlds or how you wouldn't want to.
Hmm.
Where do you see your channel going from here?
Um, it's a complicated question because I mean, like, if I were to suddenly get like more popular or whatever, if the next video that I'm making was to completely pop off, I would be really worried about the expectations that that sets for a lot of people. Um, so I would try to kind of maintain what I'm doing, and I mean, ultimately, like, the goal of my videos, the goal of what I'm doing is to sort of help people be more open-minded about stuff and like understand different perspectives and understand like the fact that like maybe what people understood about games isn't what's actually the case for everybody. Because there's a lot of like sort of insular, like, this is the objective truth of the history of this thing in
Mm.
game culture. Um, what I ultimately think is that like I want my videos to reach more people. I want, like, in the future, I want to keep doing the same sort of thing that I'm doing, but hopefully, if I have more eyes on it, I'll be able to sort of be more loose about it over, like, having, like, a condensed, like, thick topic that I'm going through per video. Like, I would like to sort of let loose a little bit, but first I need to sort of build the audience to be able to do that.
Mm.
So I guess like for now I'm good with just doing what I feel is like necessary to build an audience, but I'm not really concerned about the long time like the numbers of it or whatever. I would like to find some sort of success, but I'm good with sort of staying like uh just sort of like relatively in in the space that I'm currently at. Um as long as people like as long as I can get people to listen to what I'm saying, I guess, as long as I can like reach out to people and like affect the way that they're thinking about these things, then like I'm content with that. Um, I don't really know where it would go in particular, other than just I'm doing the same thing, but it's reaching more people.
Hmm. Now, to close this out, I do have two fairly simple questions.
Yeah.
So, what about the introspective history of gaming? No, that's not the question. Um,
Oh.
but no, uh, do you have a video that you're particularly fond of that you'd like to have in the description of this video?
uh, like one of my own or someone else's?
One of yours,
Um, I mean,
one you're proud of.
my most recent one is pretty okay. I think like I kind of designed I designed that one I mean okay, I'm putting out a new video in a couple of days, so I think when this comes out, when this interview comes out, like the video might not be the most recent anymore, like it's going to be a different video.
Mm.
It's why you shouldn't live in a game right now in the current moment is my most recent video. Uh, I think that one serves as a good enough introduction to the sort of thing that I talk about. Um, so I would say just use that one.
Awesome. And follow up question: would you be open to coming back as a return guest?
Perhaps.
I say with less internet problems next time. I hope.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hopefully, ideally. Bare
I've had
minimum.
my router cut out a couple times before.
Yeah. It was like this weird, like wild, uh, coincidental instance, or like I didn't know that this was happening today. Least of all, while I would be on the phone on call with you. Uh, it's silly.
And it's all good. I've had more than I can count
Mm,
recordings either interrupted or just straight up cut off.
oh God. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
But
definitely happens.
but with that, we will wrap this up. Wonderful party people at home. Thank you for hanging out with us. This has
Mm,
been a whole lot of fun. I want to I'd love to have you back on because I want to dig farther into these topics of game worlds and
mm.
so like building opinions based on what your friends are playing, that sort of thing. I want to see how far this conversation can go.
Well, I mean, it's kind of an ongoing conversation. It's something that, not to toot my own horn, but it is something that I talk about constantly in my videos. So I think like just in the future, like I don't know, like even if I'm not on the show again, it would be I would advise just seeing what I have to say in the future, because I don't even know what I'm going to be saying in the future. I have no idea. I might completely change my mind. I might hate listening back to this in like a year from now. I don't know.
Hard cut to the next video. I hate you and the games you like.
Next video: why Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball is the best game ever made.
Why Jeff Keighley should direct games from now on.
Why my balls exploded.
That's just a general channel update.
Oh yeah. It's
Hey
like
guys.
it's like a minute long update video, and like I have a thumbnail where I'm like staring really solemnly into the camera. The title is just like, so we need to talk. And it's just about how my balls exploded.
I have to sit on this inflatable donut. I can't do it. Can you donate to the Patreon, please? But with that, party people at home, thank you so much for sticking around. Please check out Riley, host of, owner of Smudgebap,
Riley from Smudgebap, that's me.
proprietor of Smudgebap, vendor of Smudgebap. There you go.
I sell Smudgebap and Smudgebap accessories.
When's the marketable plushie happening?
Everybody's been asking me. I don't know. I mean, if you want to know about the future of my channel, that's where it's going probably. If I get enough of an audience, that's the marketable plushie will be real.
See, if I ever get popular enough to have a marketable plushie, I want to do something that I feel like other channels have been cowards about. If I'm gonna do a
Mm.
marketable plushie of myself, I want it to be to scale.
Like like 1-to-1 scale,
Yes.
like a life. What, like, and it's just you? Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Well, because imagine the box that would arrive in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That feels like something that might sell. Uh, I'm sure there's plenty of gimmick plushes like that. I'm sure you could make it work. It's like the Pokemon plushes that are to scale. It's like you can get like a 7-foot Gardevoir or whatever.
Or that giant Snorlax you can use as a bed.
Yeah. It's like,
Well,
you
like
know,
I had the thought of like, where would I even put a plushie of me? Like, where
I don't
do I
know.
even have room?
Like, put it in your bed so that you can sneak out at night and nobody notices.
or stand it up in my window to scare
Yeah.
the neighbors.
Use it as a scarecrow.
Yeah. All of the crops I have in my apartment.
It'd be a pretty good Halloween decoration.
Funny thing is, I actually used to do that during Halloween. Is to dress up
Really?
as like a dummy.
Oh.
Yeah. I did it once. I can do it again.
Making me think about what I'm gonna dress up as for Halloween.
I mean, I'm already set. I have my masks. I have multiples.
Mm.
Halloween's an easy holiday for me.
I mean, what? Yeah. I mean, when the 1st of November rolls around, you'll be unmasked or whatever.
No, it'll still be there.
Oh.
Just my outfit will change.
Just like there's like one less layer of mask.
I I so badly wanted to do that. I want to get like a soft mask to put under the hard shell mask. So if somebody pulls it off, it's just more. But with that, party people
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
I was like, right, we were doing an outro. Crap. But with that, party people at home, thank you so much. And thank you, Riley, for coming on. This has been an absolute blast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And with that, party people at home, this has been Demasked. My name is Fresman, and I'll see all of you next time.
Goodbye.